Walking Dead Season 6B premiere is over, but we're just getting started here on The Walking Dead Live on post-show recaps. And now, here are the two guys who are ready to rocket launch you into Season 6B. I'm Rob Cesternino. Here's Josh Wigler. Josh, how are you? Are you on fire?
Yes, I am on fire.
Hey, the Amazing Race was Friday night.
Yeah. I'm a little late. There's like a little tiny intersection between Amazing Race and Walking Dead that would find that funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm great. Rob, how are you doing? Oh, we've got a frozen Rob Cesternino. He's probably not doing very well. How are you guys doing? If we got you guys going here. Rob, do we have you back?
Yeah, it's a night of...
We've got tech issues.
Yeah.
We rocket launched Rob's internet connection by accident.
Yeah. Okay, well... All right, well, we are live here tonight. It's The Walking Dead Season 6 premiere. Josh, how the hell was that, right?
It was crazy. It was intense. It was, if you talk about the slower pacing of the first half of the season, that's fine. We certainly did our share of that, both during the live podcasts and the feedback shows and the preview show leading into tonight. I don't think that you can say that the mid-season premiere was slow. The mid-season premiere was fast. It was literally explosive. We lost important characters. Important characters lost body parts. And Alexandria rallied together in a really big way that's going to kind of set the momentum for the next 7 episodes. So, yeah, really, really crazy big episode. What did you think, Rob?
It was really fantastic. I mean, for all of the talk that we had in the first half where they really just stretched everything out with Glenn in terms of whether or not he was dead and what was going on, and we really got our money's worth here tonight.
Yeah, we absolutely did. Although there was that moment where like Glenn is backed into a corner, and you're kind of thinking like, did they really save him from the dumpster just so he can get cornered here in Alexandria and be ripped apart? I half expected him to be like, Enid, find me a garbage can. Get me to a garbage can, and I'll be all right.
Yeah.
So there was a moment where I thought that they were going there. I was going to get really angry.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got a lot to unpack tonight from the show. We're going to be taking your questions live here on our first live recap of the season. We've got the chat room open on postshowrecaps.com. Hashtag PS Recaps. We're going to take your tweets all through the night as we go along, and also on our YouTube channel at postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. All right, very excited to jump into this. And Josh, that I know that as somebody who had this knowledge from the comic book, that you were expecting something like this. Was this pretty much how it went down in the comic book?
It was really close. It was very close to how it went down in the comics. We're officially in full-on spoiler territory at this point in terms of the episode. So if you haven't watched and you're listening to this, or you stumbled onto this live, go away and watch the episode first. But Jesse, the way that Jesse goes, the way that her child goes, the way that Sam goes, that's straight out of the comics. The way that Carl loses his eye, he absolutely loses his eye in the comics. It's a little tiny bit different. But in terms of the big events of losing those two characters and Carl getting shot in the face, that is absolutely how it worked in the comics. The only big difference, I would say, is Carl getting shot the way that he does was such a jaw-dropper in the books because it was the final scene of an issue, and you had to wait a full month before you found out what happened next, as opposed to a commercial break. So when we were talking about the mid-season finale, I was really thinking that that's how they were going to end the mid-season finale. I didn't think that they were going to save that stuff for the mid-season premiere. And I'm kind of curious for your take, Rob, because you're not close to the source material at all. You're just a show guy, as are many of the people who listen to our podcast.
I mean, just a show
You're
guy.
not just a show guy, but you're a show-only watcher. It's not an insult. It's a totally fine thing. But from your perspective, how do you feel about the pacing of that? Do you think that it was a good choice to move that moment to the mid-season premiere, or do you think that that would have been a big water cooler moment to leave the first half of Season 6 on?
I really do feel like that they would have gone out on a very high note, especially coming on the heels of everything that was going on with Glenn. I just don't know if they were able to space it out. I don't know if they felt like they had too much, because I feel like, if anything, we feel like they could have cut stuff from the first half of season 6, and maybe they just felt like what they had was so strong coming into start this season, and maybe they felt like, okay, well, maybe that if we don't have too many deaths then in the premiere of season 6B, if we move that around. But I do think it would have probably, again, we don't know what else they have to get to this half season, but
Right.
I feel like it would have made more sense to sort of make that the thing that they went out on in December and sort of just like got out in front of all the people like you and me who were complaining about the
Right.
6.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't do it. They did it the way that they did it, and regardless of how they could have ended the first half of season 6, they do come back tonight with this episode, No Way Out, that just ends up being such a ballistic episode, and it has such big moments. And Twitter was exploding with rocket launcher tweets. It was really wild. So I think that we maybe it had a little bit of a soft ending in the first half of 6, but it certainly came back in a really big way. So questions about the pacing aside, I think in terms of the impact of the big moments of this episode, hard to argue that they worked. So I don't know, where do you want to begin? What was like the biggest jaw dropper for you? There were a ton of jaw droppers tonight. Which was the one that really just knocked you out?
Sure. Well, let's talk through that sequence, I think, where you started off, where Sam got bit, then Jesse, then ultimately Ron, and then the discovery about Carl and his eye. So let's really just talk that through one by one and sort of like, I'd love to hear your reaction to all those things.
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. The Sam thing was really brutal, even expecting it, even expecting that was something that was coming. It didn't make it any easier. I think what made it worse is that he has like Carol's Cookie Monster speech going through his head before he dies, and it totally comes true. Like he wills it into existence. So for that to be like the final thing that's going through his head, other than the teeth of the walker that's chewing his head off, was really so sad. A really, really sad ending for the Craven Sam. You really thought that maybe he could rally together. The whole mom didn't, that whole thing didn't end up being such an imminent issue. But ultimately, he couldn't hack it. He couldn't hack it here in this situation. And poor Sam.
Well, I'd like to talk about that mom thing that you mentioned from the end of last season, where it really looked like that was where it seemed like this was headed in the final shots of season 6A.
Yeah.
But then we just came back, and it was like, oh, did that not happen yet? Are we back further than where that was? And it was just like, oh, I guess that was sort of uneventful. If anything, I felt like the noise that he was making when he actually got bit was less noticeable than what he was doing when he was like, Mom?
Yeah. I think, it was just signaling that this kid was, he was shaking in his boots, that he was not ready for prime time. He was not ready for the no guts, no glory situation that Rick was trying to lead them all through.
He got the guts.
He got the guts and he got the gory. I think that was really just trying to signal that Sam was not going to have a good time with this situation. But yeah, I was surprised too. I kind of thought that, 6B would pick up with that sequence. And I thought that first, cold open, I expected to be the scene that we got, kind of toward the middle of the episode where Sam and Jesse and Carl all have these things happen to them. So I was a little surprised that they just did the mom thing and didn't really follow up on it, other than having that kind of set up the fact that Sam was not level-headed and ready for this.
Yeah. I was wondering, I had gotten a question on Twitter about it, where what happened with that. Was that maybe not canon? Is that possible?
We're cutting the moms out of the continuity.
Because in terms of the time that went by, it was
Right.
like, I don't know how it got from day to night so quickly. It was all of a sudden like, I mean, how big is Alexandria for them to be walking across? It didn't seem like Rick made a stop, right?
Right. I also had somebody tweet at me saying, really from December, daytime in December to nighttime in February. Time really passed pretty funny on The Walking Dead. Yeah, I mean, Alexandria's a big place, but big enough for it to go from like 2 p.m. to like midnight. Yeah. I don't know. I question that.
All right, well, let's not get caught in the weeds
No, we
on
don't need
that.
to. We don't need
All
to
right,
get
so
caught.
Sam ends up getting bit, and Jesse does not want to let him go. And, I was really, I wasn't that surprised when Sam got bit. Then I was surprised when Jesse got bit.
Yes, that was a big shock for you. So you were not anticipating that happening to Jesse.
No, I kind of felt like from the way they were talking about this episode that somebody was going to die. I thought it was going to be just Sam, but then very surprised when it was Jesse too.
So what do you think about that from, a story decision? I think certainly in terms of the reality of the situation, this mother who is already in such a dire situation, has her son killed right in front of her. It's kind of true to life that she's not gonna, that she's gonna be in shock from that. And given the timing of what's going on in this situation, for her to just get attacked and mobbed by walkers pretty quickly after that, that makes sense to me in terms of the realism of the moment. But in terms of the story, we'd been investing a lot, or at least the show seemingly wanted us to invest a lot in Jessie and her kids and that storyline in Alexandria, and then it's just ripped right off the table pretty much. What do you think about that from a storytelling perspective?
Yeah, it really did feel like that Jesse was going to be a big part of moving forward with Rick. It was almost like that. I felt like to some degree she was humanizing him, where she was the one that gave him a haircut, and she was the one that sort of like he was like this like burly mountain man when she met him. And then after he after Rick killed her husband, then it was going to be almost like that they were sort of like this new blended family. It was like a Walking Dead sitcom in the making.
Yeah.
But then no more Jesse, unfortunately. And I was even more surprised, though, when we had on The Talking Dead tonight, in addition to Carrie Underwood.
That's right.
Playing along on the Walking Dead story sync with me tonight. We also had, they said, a mystery guest will be on The Talking Dead tonight. And then it wasn't even Jesse.
Right. Yeah. No, it's the wolf.
The wolf.
The wolf who, like so many other people on The Walking Dead with their thick Georgia accents, apparently is actually British.
Is he really?
Yeah, Benedict Samuel is the actor, and he's just speaking with like a really thick British accent on Talking Dead tonight.
Wow. Who knew?
I mean, we should just assume that everybody who acts on The Walking Dead is British until proven otherwise.
Yeah, we should.
But
anyway, so yeah, I was very surprised to end up seeing Jesse go out in this way.
Yeah, no, it's a big shock. Obviously, Rick is very shocked in the moment. He's having flashbacks to all of these other scenes. He's probably thinking a lot of what the audience is thinking. It's like, but she was kind of important. She's sort of a big deal, and now she's just dead. Like, that's really what's going on? But that's Walking Dead. That's Walking Dead when Walking Dead is at its best, I think, is it really defies your expectations. It kills characters that you think are really, really important, and it does that because that's the reality of the situation they're in. Just because they're a favorite character shouldn't mean they're immune. Oftentimes it does mean that they're immune, and I think the show is guilty of that a lot of the time. But tonight, I think they got it right. I think in that situation, with Sam dying, I think Jesse dying next, that makes a ton of sense. But that entire bloodline is gone now because the next thing to talk through is that Ron Douche is also no longer with us because he turns the gun on Carl, and that escalates the situation that has already been escalated severely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get to talk. Yeah, we were talking about this right before we came on. That I was having a hard time just, things were happening so fast. Like, it's probably easier for you to sort of give the play-by-play on this because I'm sort of like, I'm not over what happened to Sam.
Right.
Jesse's dead. Yeah. And now it's like the gun fell on the floor, and now Ron's got the gun, and who shot first?
Right.
So could you talk through exactly what happened here with Ron?
Yeah, the answer's Han.
Ron.
Yeah, Ron Solo. Ron Solo shot first. Yeah, so what happened is Sam freaks out. Sam gets eaten. Jesse is shell-shocked and panicked and is like clutching on to Carl still for dear life because everybody's still holding hands as part of this thing. Jesse gets mobbed. She starts getting eaten. She's not letting go of Carl's hand. She has this death grip on him. And Rick is kind of forced into action where he hatchets her hand off while she's getting eaten to free Carl from getting dragged into the same fate. If you're Ron, you've already lost your brother. You just watched your mom get attacked by walkers, and now this guy who had killed your father in the middle of Alexandria a few days earlier, probably at this point, who came up with this idea to walk in the streets to begin with, has basically been responsible for the fact that they're in this situation, and to add insult to injury, he's cutting off your mom's hand to save his own kid. It's just like it's too much for Ron Douche to bear. And he finally has to pull the trigger on one of the Grimes, and it looks like he's going to kill Rick. It seems like Rick is the guy he's going to kill, but Michonne stabs him through the back, out the chest, and in so doing, the aim of the gun is like lurched to the side a little bit, and Ron shoots the gun as that's happening, as he's being killed, and we don't see the bullet land anywhere, but we do see the gunshot victim, and it's Carl, and like half of his face has been blown off. It's gross.
Yikes.
It's really nasty.
Yeah, so Carl ends up with the eye. I thought that Carl got bit on the eye. I thought that's what happened.
He just got a big chunk of face eaten off.
Oh, my God.
No, that is not what happened. He got shot in the face, which is
shot in the face. And
which
then
is, I guess, better because at least you're not going to have the infection. So, you know, if you have to choose, this is like a real Sophie's choice or a Rafe's choice, if you prefer, of getting like shot in the face in the world of The Walking Dead or bitten on the face in the world of The Walking Dead. I think you want to get shot in the face because at least you have like some shot. You can't like amputate your face.
That's right. And then so Michonne comes up behind him and then stabs him with the sword.
Yeah. I mean, like, Michonne is Rick ride or die. You know, she knows that, like, this kid is too much trouble. We've got to move right now anyway. This kid is about to shoot Rick. He might even shoot Carl. Who knows what he's going to do? Let's just take him out of the equation entirely. Let's just take care of that.
Okay, and
it's
then...
a good move on Michonne's part. By the way, this is great news for Michonne fans. Right? You got to imagine that now that Jesse's
no time for love, Dr. Jones.
No, there's plenty of time. Dr. Jones, there's time. There's going to be plenty of episodes. I mean, Jesse's gone. Michonne is out there. Yeah, so who knows? You know, this could be good. This could be really good for Michonne.
I feel like Rick didn't really get a chance to mourn for Jesse.
Doesn't seem like it. You know,
no.
He pretty much went from shock that Sam got killed, shock that Jesse got killed, action against Jesse's hand, shocked that Carl got shot in the face, brings Carl to the infirmary, and then immediately decides, like, you know what, I'm going to Hatchet Town. It's Hatchet Town time. Time to take these walkers to the cleaners.
That really felt bizarre to me that Rick went out there with the axe to sort of go crazy. And maybe that's just a thing you do. We saw Tyrese basically have the same reaction earlier on, and that's just something that you do. But I just want to table that for 1 second and just go back to, there was a point early in the episode where Father Gabriel, who I guess is earning his way back into your good graces, right?
Slowly but surely, he's trying. You know, you got to A for effort at the very least.
Okay, so Father Gabriel, he takes Judith, and boy, I will say probably my number one pet peeve on The Walking Dead is how good of a baby Judith is, because that I have a baby here at this house that I can't put down for 5 seconds and he's not crying. Judith, forget about it. We'd all be dead if we had to move with this baby. But Judith is, she never even cries, doesn't even hiccup, but whatever. Anyway, so Gabriel has the opportunity.
I was thinking about that, though, while Judith was just being, like, the chillest baby on the planet. I was thinking, like, what is Rob thinking right now as he's watching this with newborn Anthony in the house? I'm sure he is, like, throwing
no diapers for this baby, no medicine for this baby. They have no, like, iPad to keep the baby occupied. Yeah. But anyway, so Gabriel says, I'll take Sam with me. And there's the question, should Sam go with Gabriel or does he want to come? And Sam forces the issue. You got to look back, think they made the wrong move there, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad call in hindsight. That's really...
Like, the only thing I can think of from Jesse's point of view would be, like, I think that he should probably go and not be on... Like, I should send my young, afraid kid to be with Father Gabriel on the safe mission and not bring him along on the dangerous mission. With that being said... Father Gabriel's track record isn't exactly spotless at this point. So, like, do you trust your kid with super zombie killer Rick Grimes or with dopey Father Gabriel? No. And, I guess, like...
Send your kid off into the teeth of the zombie attack or with the priest?
Yeah, with the priest who sucks! He's the worst priest ever. I mean, he's the only priest left, but he's horrible.
I mean, usually... that's not it's not a bad bet under normal circumstances.
Right, but these are extraordinary circumstances.
In this case, it might have been a better idea to send the kid off with the priest.
Yes. Yeah, I think that the episode bared that out. I think that...
really, think about it. I mean, you send Sam off with Father Gabriel. You presume that worst case scenario is that Father Gabriel, we lose Father Gabriel and Judith and Sam. But you would think that, okay, they get where they need to go safely.
Right.
We still have, that's like 3 for 1 and Carl's eye.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal. I would take that deal. Like, if they get to heaven and, like, they see, like, the playback on that, Jesse's like, you know what, thinking about it, I think that I made the wrong call.
Right.
It feels pretty obvious. But yeah, what are you gonna do? It played out the way it played out.
Right. Hindsight is 20/20, or in the case of Carl, 20.
20. Yeah, just 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0-20.
Keeping it 20.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah, but let's talk about then Rick at the infirmary and that whole last stand against all of the walkers. And it did seem like it was sort of just like a lost cause for Rick, but then more and more people joined the fight. He was like Forrest Gump, and more people started running behind him.
I stopped running. Yeah, Rick just he went to town and everyone was like, that looks pretty cool. Let's all join him. But yeah, I mean, it was, it's the culmination of everything that he's been wondering about since he's been to Alexandria. He's like, these people can't hack it. They've been stuck behind this wall forever. They're soft. We know what's going on. We've been on the road. We've been in the stuff. I don't think that these can't be my people. I can't worry about them. And Deanna has been really pushing this thing of they're your people. And Rick has been really reluctant to accept it. And this is the culmination of the fact that Deanna was right. That ultimately she, her belief in her people pans out. And all of these people, they get courage. They get courage from on high or courage from within, however you want to see it. Father Gabriel certainly thanks the man upstairs. But everybody just feels like it's time to rally. What are we going to do? We're going to stay in our houses and get mobbed by walkers eventually, or do we just go out there and rock out? And they rock out. They rock out and they make it work, and it's a really badass scene. This whole last stand of Alexandria, maybe a little improbable, but it was a really cool sequence, I thought.
Yeah, Rick sort of came away with it, and his big takeaway was the red shirts did it. This storyline that we've been following since the premiere of season 6 of are the people of Alexandria gonna step up and help out? And while they were sort of just holed up for 90% of the episode, in the last 5-10 minutes they came out of their house and they impressed Rick.
Yeah, Rick was like, "You guys are pretty good. This is not bad. I like this.
Not good, not bad." So they came on out and eventually won the day, and they feel like, okay, well, now we can work with this here.
Yeah, but I mean, they probably would not have won the day if not for Daryl Dixon's new toy. If not for bringing the rocket launcher back to Alexandria and causing that big lake of fire that drew a lot of walkers away, I don't think that this would have worked out for everybody. So you really do have to give most of the credit to the original crew. I think you got to give MVP to Rick for inspiring everybody to come out in the first place, but maybe he shares that award with Daryl, who rocket launches the lake and causes a major distraction. That was really sweet.
I like to play the Walking Dead story sync as we go along during the episode, and sometimes they show you a cool detail or a quote from a previous season that happened. But I think the most laughable moment in the history of the Walking Dead story sync happened tonight.
All right, give us the scoop.
After the Daryl rocket launcher scene, there was a poll. They like to poll the audience during Walking Dead story sync, and the poll was Daryl's lore of the walkers, brilliant or reckless?
Brilliant or reckless? What? These are the options?
Do you think Daryl was a little too reckless with shooting the rocket launcher, near the lake?
I guess. I mean, listen.
What do you think the vote was on brilliant versus reckless?
100% brilliant, 0% reckless.
It was 95-5.
Yeah. Was there can you write in and be like, AMC, come on. With that question, come on.
You have all week to come up with the questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you and I come on here and nitpick, but we've had 15 minutes to process the episode. AMC has the episode in the can for months.
I voted reckless. That was very reckless, Daryl. You need to be much more careful.
Oh, my God. That's really great. That's a reckless question. Brilliant or reckless? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Is podcasting about this show brilliant or reckless? What do you think?
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about more about that cold open with Daryl and the other part with the rocket launcher. That was very interesting. Let's talk about Denise and the wolf, because I wasn't expecting to get so much of that story tonight.
Right. Well, I mean, I was confused about this because I know, that they have to get Denise back into a position to operate on Carl. And we left 6A, we left the mid-season finale with Denise in the clutches of the wolf. And I was like, how are they going to connect that back together? Because there's no one in Alexandria who's going to be able to save Carl's face. How are they going to pull that off? So I didn't know what to expect from it. What we end up getting is like a strange like bonding storyline between Denise and the wolf, where like Morgan couldn't change the wolf. You know, Morgan, who had been through this ordeal with Eastman and had been converted and finally been talked off the ledge and, you know, talked away from Crazy Town and back to seeing the light. He's not able to get through to the wolf, but in like 2 seconds, Denise has that. But then again, I guess Denise is a psychology major, so maybe give her a little bit of credit.
There's something about Denise.
There's something about Denise. Denise, another, you know, contender for MVP tonight. She was great.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that moment was where the wolf really fell for Denise. I think that right before that was when he said to her, "You don't need to be afraid." She told him, "Go to hell."
Right.
And they made a run for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe it was just like a little bit of like that sort of like, you know, that Han Solo, Ron Solo, Princess Leia talk. And
right.
It's just like they had a thing.
Just likes it when you're being like a little bit mean to me. It's like I like that. I don't want this to be too nice, too cute.
Yeah. Josh, this is what we call in the biz a meet cute.
Yeah,
between,
meet cute.
Denise and the wolf.
Yeah, fresh meat cute.
Yeah, tainted meat cute.
Tainted meat cute. Yeah, it was nice. I liked it. I'm sad that it's over. I'm sad that we lost the wolf. The wolf was a great recurring character. I don't know that I could have like handled him without like getting a shower and brushing his teeth, but if we had been able to do that for the guy, it might have been nice to have him on the show for a little while longer. But Benedict Samuel, the guy who played that character, he was really great in the few scenes that he got on this show while he was playing that guy. But yeah, no, Denise is able to work it with the wolf. I guess the turn must have been, you know, he gets bit. He does go back to save her, so I don't know. I mean, he needs to go back and save her because she's a doctor and he needs to be helped. So that's, you know, that's like a selfish move.
Yeah. Well, to me, the turn was when she was going to get eaten by the walker,
right.
And then he comes down off the ladder and ends
right.
up stabbing the walker. That, to me, was the turn for him.
Right. And I think it was the turn. I don't think that it was like a spiritual turn. I don't think it was like I like Denise. I need to save Denise. I think that's the doctor. I got to save the doctor. I'm dying of some mystery infection. So I think that it was still selfish in that moment. But then she says, like,
post IV.
Yeah, I think that he needs her help. I think that she says to him after he's bit, like, I can save your life. Come with me. And in that moment, once he sees that, like, she is willing to, like, really just be, you know, a champ and help him out, I think that he turns his opinion of her a little bit. And I think also just like when he knows that he's about to die because he's been shot 4 times by Carroll, I think it's kind of just like, well, I'm about to die. Denise, you seem decently cool. I guess that's going to be a change of attitude for me.
Yeah.
So good for the wolf. He did something nice.
Yeah. Did you think that the wolf had redemption, Josh?
I know that Carrie Underwood is confused on the question. Carrie Underwood didn't have a great answer for this. She was like,
"What was Carrie Underwood's question?"
Carrie Underwood was asked that same question. She was kind of like, I guess we'll never know. I feel like he got some redemption. You know, he saves Denise. Carroll feels bad. Like if you made Carroll feel bad about killing somebody, that must mean that you had an impact. But like Carroll shoots the wolf, sees what the wolf does for Denise, and is kind of like, whoa, maybe Morgan was right. Maybe we didn't have to kill this guy. Maybe he could have been changed. So I feel like that's like a modicum of redemption.
What'd you think of the Cold War between Carroll and Morgan at this point?
Curious to see where it goes. I mean, I don't blame Carroll for being like, I should have killed you, Morgan, because if I had just done that, then, you know, this whole situation with the wolf and stealing Denise would have not happened. Like, I wouldn't have been unconscious, then you wouldn't have been unconscious. So I get that she's mad at him. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how long-term this storyline is of, like, this.
Are we shipping it?
Are we shipping it in terms of, like, get over your business and start making out already, people? Then, yeah.
They're the new Sam and Diane, Carroll and Morgan, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that we talked about this a little bit during the first half of the season. Like, are we building towards some sort of, you know, romance between the two of those characters? I don't know. I don't know if that's where we're going. I feel like a lot has to change between these two. But am I shipping it? Sure. I'm in for Corrigan. Billy Corrigan. Yeah.
I mean, why did Morgan start bringing up to Carroll, like, you had a child, didn't you? You had a husband, right? I mean... Yeah. That it seems like that.
Trying to relate. He's trying to get to know her.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to sort of bring up. I felt like.
Tell me more.
Tell me Morgan.
Yeah, tell me Morgan. That's the name of his new talk show. It goes after The Talking Dead.
Yeah. Okay. So we also had tonight where we had Glenn make his way back with Enid. I was a little confused because where were they in the church that Father Gabriel ultimately was headed to?
there remains some confusion about like the layout of Alexandria and the buildings that exist there. Like when the steeple fell, was that a steeple or was that another building? So are there two churches in Alexandria? Was that, was Gabriel in a church
Church.
and then Glenn was like in the other church? I don't know. I'm confused about the layout. So if somebody can answer that for us, that'd be great.
Okay. But we had a whole big thing with Glenn and Enid about how Enid was like she wants to cut and run and Glenn won't let her. And so Glenn ends up having this whole speech with Enid about how the people you love, they make you who you are, they're still part of you. All the people that I knew, like my parents, Dale, Herschel, Andrea. And so I thought that was a weird conversation. Where are we going with that?
Yeah, it's like the people who are no longer with us are fueling us forward. I think it's just, trying to turn Enid around and try to get Enid to be Team Alexandria and not be such a loner anymore. I think that's really where Glenn is coming from. I think it explains a bit of the strength that Glenn drew upon when he was hiding under the dumpster. It's like kind of like a reverse Arya thing where instead of like uttering the names of the people he wants to kill, he's like uttering the names of the people who have shaped him. He's like Mom, Dad, Herschel, the Hound. I think that like that's kind of what
Noah.
And Noah. Yeah. Well, what about Noah? He should have name dropped Noah. Noah was a big deal.
I feel like he could have named Noah.
And how quickly
he could have killed him.
Spent
a lot of time. Yeah, but he is almost like giving her like the Star Trek 3 Katra speech of like if we find a way to remember him, he's still with us. He's still with us.
I should have rewatched Star Trek 3 before this podcast so that reference would be fresher for me.
They're not really dead as long as we remember him.
Okay.
So a lot going on in Alexandria. We also had the Rosita, Tara, Eugene crew in this episode tonight. And a little bit of Rosita and Eugene tension still going on.
Well, Eugene has a habit of watching Rosita and Abraham get it on. So he's either attracted to both of them or attracted to one of them, and Smart Money is on Rosita. So, yeah, I mean, there's always been tension in that regard. Like, because everyone knows it. It was an open secret. But maybe things are, maybe a little more romantic. I don't know. Would you be down with Rosita and Eugene? Would that be good for you?
I mean, are we shipping that too? I felt like Rosita was like incredibly hard on Eugene.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, she was like, Eugene, we're all going to go fight. You really don't have to come. You could really sit this out. You can keep reading your book. We got this. You can be fine. And Eugene's like, I want to come. I want to play. She's like, kind of don't want you to play. Kind of don't want you to come out here and fight. Can't blame her. I mean, every time Eugene has been in one of these situations, unless he has like a fire hose, he just like totally punks out.
Yeah.
But he was good tonight.
Were you excited to see the Lost Alexandrians show up, including Spencer and Abraham?
Spencer
and Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah, no, I was very happy to see Aaron back in the mix. I was a little worried about Aaron. Whatever on Spencer. Don't really care on Spencer. I was excited to see...
You hate Spencer. You're so mean about Spencer.
I don't like Spencer. I'm still mad that he stole our Ritz crackers.
Yeah, the Crackergate.
Yeah, Crackergate is... I'm not past that. I'm over Glengate. I'm not over Crackergate. So I wasn't happy to see him. I was excited to see... who else was I excited to see? I was excited to see Heath. We haven't seen Heath in a while.
Yeah.
Heath had been on the DL for a bit.
So yeah, when they showed up. Oh, hey!
Heath! That's right! Oh my God! So good to see you.
I totally forgot these people were even on the show. I thought they were dead.
Yeah. How about, wasn't there like that Alexandria-centric episode where we were supposed to like get to know and care about all these people? Did that not really work for you tonight? You forgot all these people already.
I mean, it was so long ago. We didn't really spend that much time with them.
Yeah.
Other than Can't Hardly Wait. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so, Ethan Embry, I still miss him. I forget the name of like that badass construction crew guy, but he was there too. Tobin, that's right. I always forget Tobin's name. Yeah, he's like the Toby of my office pool.
Yeah.
Good to see him.
Let's talk about the business that was going on with Abraham and Sasha and Daryl before they saved the day in the cold open. Again, this was a scene that we had seen the first couple minutes of back in the epilogue to part 1 of this season back in the fall. We end up getting the whole scene tonight. I really enjoyed that guy that was gonna kill Sasha and Abraham.
Yeah, that guy was like,
He's good.
We're booking this actor for a day. You know, you're here, actor. You've got a day on The Walking Dead. You're gonna play this Negan douche. You're working for Negan. You're talking about this guy. You're gonna talk tough. You're gonna talk trash to these people, and you've got one day to do it. And that actor was just like, this is my one day on The Walking Dead. I am going to knock it out of the park. I'm going to be very memorable. I'm going to be very fun. And he delivered. I thought he was great. I was sad to see him go. I was sad to see him get rocket launched to hell. That being said, I was also really stoked to see Chekhov's rocket launcher used in the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Finally.
Pretty rad. But I like that guy too. I like his advice on how to eat shit. Like, I feel like, you know,
I was gonna say that for somebody give him the advice, if you have to eat the scenery in a scene, it's best not to nibble. Just go for it.
Bite, chew, swallow, repeat. Yeah. Until they tell you that your day is up.
Yeah, I mean, he was very funny when he was talking about how, like, do you know how awkward it's going to be to carpool after you kill somebody's friend? Like, believe me, that is awkward.
Yeah, I also liked when he's like, give me the rest of your stuff. And Daryl's like, we don't have any other stuff. And I just like, there's like, come on. Can we not? Come on. Can we not do this? Obviously, you have stuff. Give me your stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. So yeah, no, he was really fun. But yeah, it's a little tiny bit of a tease of this whole Negan story that we know is going to be a big deal on the show. So we're moving slowly in that direction. Big deal with the Negan stuff. We've got a frozen Rob right now. So while we wait for Rob to thaw out, Alex, let's queue up some. We can queue up some questions.
Yeah,
we've got Rob back.
Hang in there.
All right. Well, we've got questions on standby if you freeze up again.
Yeah, I can get back.
That's the backup plan.
I can get back very quick.
Yes.
Right. All right, Josh. What about moving forward into next week? Do you feel like that we are going to potentially hit a lull after this?
Like a slow episode after an episode like that. I mean, I hope not. I really would love to see the momentum carried through to future episodes of this season. I think that, it was a little bit slower in the past few episodes of Walking Dead. You know, the back half of the first half of the season was a little bit slower. We just came out with what a lot of people are calling like a top-tier, top 5 episode of The Walking Dead. Chris Hardwick on Talking Dead said, like, this is easily one of the best episodes of the show. I don't know if I feel quite that strongly about it, but it was a really, really, really strong, action-packed episode. And to go from that to something really quiet, you know, maybe some people would say that we need a little bit of a palate cleanser. I kind of feel like, let's keep charging forward. There's a lot of business still ahead. Let's just keep the momentum going. That being said, I expect probably a slower episode. I mean, it can't be faster. How can it be faster?
Yeah. But, you know, coming out of the start of this season, the first episode I thought was great. And then the second episode was still really great. And then it was almost like then the stuff like as they sort of like got towards the middle, it felt like they were sort of like dragging it along.
Right.
So I wonder if they've got another really strong episode to sort of like, it feels like Walking Dead is good at beginnings of things. It's sort of like they're good at beginnings of things, and then it's sort of like the middle parts I think that they can struggle with, and then sort of like when they finally get to tell the end of the story, it's good with that.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, you know, okay, well we're still setting up the next thing. I feel like that could be potentially good, but to be honest, I felt like the preview didn't see anything too exciting going on there.
Yeah, I mean, Rick changed his shirt. That's exciting. It's a different day, presumably. It's not just the same day that it's been for the past 9 episodes now. So that's cool.
I can't believe we're gonna bring back Alexandria. I thought we were leaving there for sure.
So yeah, well, tell me what you think about the fate of Alexandria. You know, the fact that it's saved in this sort of big action blockbuster way. You had said on the preview show that we recorded last week that you thought that we were gonna, pack up and leave Alexandria. It's time to hit the road again. At least as of right now, we're still in Alexandria. So you're surprised that we're sticking around.
Rick said we're gonna fix the walls. We were saying
we're fixing the walls. We're gonna expand the walls. He says to Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to realize the dream.
So they're going to make it happen.
Yeah. So are you happy about this? Do you think this is a good direction for the show?
Sure. I mean, I think it gets also, when they're just like out wandering places, I feel like that can be a little bit like, just sort of like similar things just keep seeming to happen.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Should we hop into some questions here?
Yes, we should. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's go ahead and take some questions. And why don't we start here with Jason Burning, who says, should have done that Walking Dead death draft on the preview podcast, LOL. Why? So Josh could have just
cleaned up
the floor with me?
Here's how I would have done it. I would have drafted Sam first, because that seemed obvious. I would have let Jesse go for a little while, because I don't think you would have picked Jesse. I would have let her go a little long.
I wouldn't have. I felt like that when we did our preview the other day. I felt like that Jesse's kids, I felt like, were much more vulnerable than she was.
Right. So like I take Sam, then you presumably take Ron, right? This is how that goes. And then who's your second choice?
Probably like Gabriel.
Right. Yeah. And I would have taken Jesse because I knew that was coming up. And I don't know who I would have taken as a third, but I would have gotten 2.
Yeah.
That's why I said let's not do that, because I think I know it's about to happen.
We will get into it on our feedback show coming up this week. All right, next question, Josh. What do you got?
All right, this is from Jake Larson. Did you remember that Star Trek quote from Star Trekker Seinfeld? Oh, was this a recent Seinfeld podcast, Joe?
No, we're not up to that one yet.
That's
when Susan dies.
Oh, I remember when Susan dies. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was licking all of the envelopes, and then she screamed at the camera like Deanna.
Yeah, and then Kramer is giving advice about the Katra.
George, where are the stamps for the wedding?
Because he's friends with her.
Right, that's right.
Okay. R. Philly says, who's the hero of the night? Glenn with the inspirational fallen comrades monologue, or Rick for his frenzied berserker epiphany? Who do you give more credit to for being the hero? Is it Glenn for his monologue, or Rick for killing 137 walkers?
You know, it was a really powerful monologue, but I think Rick just edges it out a little bit. You know, I think it was either a brilliant or reckless move by Rick to go out there and start hacking away at all the walkers.
That was
reckless, but it was also brilliant. So I think, I think I'm going to go with Rick on that one.
Okay. Katie Beth Austin says, did you hear on the Talking Dead Carrie Underwood? Well, I like shows.
That's what Carrie Underwood said?
We don't want any of that noise. Okay. Like, leave Carrie Underwood out of this.
I think that Chris Hardwick on Talking Dead called her Carrie Underwoodberry. So that was a good hashtag.
Okay, well, we'll be talking about Frank Underwood soon.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't need to piss off Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, House of Cards coming back soon.
Okay.
This from Jackson Kruger. Jackson Kruger says, is it bad that someone got shot in the face and I'm still not worried if they're going to survive? Yeah, I mean, half the reaction that I saw when Carl got shot, it was like a mixture of, oh my God, I can't believe that, and oh no, Carl, no. And then some people being like, yes, finally, yes, they killed Carl. But they did not kill Carl. What did you think? Like, did you think that Carl was dead in that moment, or did you think somehow they were getting him out of that alive?
You know, I feel like I heard or saw a picture of Carl somewhere with an eye patch. Like, I feel like that I sort of, somewhere in my brain, knew that was a thing, not that it was a thing that was happening tonight. I was like, oh, yeah. So, Carl, he got shot in the eye, so he's going to lose his eye.
Yeah, there was, if you were looking at certain corners of the internet, some people were publishing this leaked image of Chandler Riggs as Carl with, like, a white bandage on his face. And so it's kind of like, oh, that sucks that that's out there. But what are you going to do?
Okay.
It's the internet, people.
All right. This is from Inessa, who says, Glenn has 9 lives. He certainly does.
Yeah, man. Can't touch Glenn. And, you know, he didn't even need a dumpster this time. All he needed were some friends with high-powered assault rifles.
I mean, this should count as 2 of those lives, between the walkers getting him and somehow Abraham not shooting him.
I know. Not just, like, shooting his face off. Yeah, so he's down to 6 right now. At least as of this season. I mean, we could count several other instances before this season. This is from R. Philly. The Walking Dead is criticized for slow pacing while it builds its mythology. Is that weakness sufficiently countered in payouts like tonight? So let's dig into this. So when Walking Dead does slow things down a bit, Rob, when the show is a little bit slower, but then it comes out with episodes that are just massive like this, does an action-packed, really frenetic episode like the mid-season premiere excuse some of the slower moments on the show for you?
Just because an episode is slow doesn't mean that nothing has to happen. I mean, I think that there can be great moments or great stories that get told in the slow moments. Like, I think the problem is that we get frustrated where they sort of like tease us and then just don't give us something like, okay, Glenn went under a dumpster
Right.
and then we didn't see him for 4 weeks. And we get episodes that are sort of just nothing is happening. I think that if it's not necessarily that, oh, people didn't die every single week, but it'd be nice to have a good story every single week.
Unlike Seinfeld, you do not want this to be a show about nothing.
I'd like to have something, either, if not something happening, like I feel like, an episode like The Grove where we're just like sort of like telling, like, and I know that we did have some characters die in that episode, but not major characters or anything like that.
How dare you? Lizzie and Mika were saints.
Yeah. So I think that you can have both things. I think you don't have to have like a huge body count like this week after week after week, but I feel like that some of the episodes, it wasn't so much that there wasn't a big body count. I think it was more so, at least my complaint was that I felt like we were stalling.
Right. This is a question from Katie Beth Austin. Who do you trust more to save your kid from a gunshot, a veterinarian, or a psychology major? We're talking Herschel, the veterinarian, and Denise, the psychology major. In this moment of crisis, I gotta think you gotta wish that Herschel was still around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who would you go? I go veterinarian.
Yeah, it's gotta be Herschel.
Gotta be.
I mean, Denise is pulling it together. And that was impressive, but her track record in terms of, like, just even seeing, like, the sight of blood in the past, she's kind of like, ugh. She did, like, the Hurley thing where she was almost going to pass out. But she really rallied. She had a really great comeback episode tonight.
Good comeback.
Typically I think you want to lean on Herschel.
Comeback kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Matthew Murphy writes and says, is there anyone who didn't become a badass out of nowhere in tonight's episode? Yeah, was that a thing?
Yeah, it's like, all right, we know that you're not into some of these characters. What if we made them badasses? Would that help? Would that work? So now that Father Gabriel isn't so craven and Eugene isn't so craven and these people are just on the streets mowing down walkers, I think we liked Eugene no matter what because he was endearing. But Father Gabriel was like cowardly at the expense of other people. Like he really could have just, his actions could have killed a whole lot of people. But are we thumbs up on Father Gabriel now that he has decided that he is going to live in this world and he's going to be able to kill some of these walkers? Are you more in on Father Gabriel?
Well, I'm interested to know your take on the Father Gabriel pivot, because I feel like the last we saw him, he was like handing out flyers and Rick was like, I hate your stupid flyers.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Did you feel like with Father Gabriel it was Deus Ex Machina?
No. I feel like they've been working towards it a little bit. I mean, yeah, it was funny when Rick was just like, forget your flyers. I don't really care for you, Father Gabriel. But we had seen Father Gabriel back in JSS, I think it was, when he was saying to Carl, like, I want to learn how to shoot guns. I want to get more involved. I think after the season 5 finale, when he kind of gets his snot kicked in and he's sort of like, he's very suicidal there, but then he kind of turns around and seemingly wants to be more part of this world. I think that is where the Gabriel shift occurred, and he had been attempting to, put those changes into practice. He wanted to train on guns. In the season 6 mid-season finale, he tells Rick, like, I will do whatever you say. I'm good. I'm ready for this. So I think that we had seen that Gabriel existed. I don't think it came completely out of nowhere. I think maybe, if anything, we weren't really paying too much attention to it because we were just kind of trying to forget that Father Gabriel exists on the show.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I think he's better now. This is a question from Spicy Wasabi. Do you think we are done with the Wolves storyline? What do you think? Was that the last wolf? Did the last wolf howl tonight?
I think so. I mean, based on what we're hearing from, everything is like Negan.
Right.
So I feel like that we are done with the Wolves tonight.
Yeah. R.I.P. the Wolves. You were enigmatic. We didn't really know what you were. We thought you'd be a bigger deal. It ended up being just a dude.
Yeah, you guys wasted a lot of time cutting limbs off of people. I don't know, that really just like a waste of your resources and your time on The Walking Dead. You had one big plan to sort of like raid Alexandria.
Yeah.
It did not work, and I don't know.
Also, if any of you are still out there, brush your teeth.
Yeah, it was almost distracting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. They have poor hygiene, but I just felt like almost like
yeah,
disconcerting.
Yeah, no, it's not great, not good. This is funny. This is from Anessa Sarah, who says, that time Rob Cesternino forecasted Jesse may lose a kid in the premiere, and then her entire family is obliterated.
Yeah. Well, they're together.
Yeah, they're all together in the great beyond. Yeah, the entire Jesse clan is completely done. In retrospect, do you feel like that makes the Jesse story, wasted screen time, or do you think that that was fueling a moment like tonight that's just like a big surprise happens on the show and it's worth it for the big shock factor?
I have no regrets on Jesse and her family.
Yeah, none.
No, not too many. I mean, if anything,
great.
I still don't get why Sam had the cookie with the ants all over it. I still don't get the
about to
symbolism
get
there.
covered in walkers. Don't you get it now? Don't you see? It was a metaphor. It was foreshadowing.
To what? The walkers were coming? They were the ants?
Yeah, that he was the cookie and they're the ants, and they ate him like a delicious chocolate chip cookie.
I think that was a stretch. I love a good metaphor.
I know. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't write the show.
Our Philly said, did you guys dig the sharp montages in the Rick and Jesse moment and the battle of through the night? Is this episode top 5, baby? I did think that was interesting, and I feel like that people did enjoy the montages. I wonder, where, just to compare this to where a Game of Thrones episode like Hard Home, I felt like that we did not, like the battle sequences, at least in terms of that final climactic battle, I felt like that it was, they just decided to go like super like close-up shots of everybody as opposed to like too much of the super wide battle scenes.
I liked it though. I thought it was edited together in a really cool way, and I liked that you got to see like not just the main characters that we know and love, and I think it was the point of the episode is like Alexandria can rally, like we can come together and we can do this thing. So it was cool to see like all the different red shirts getting in on it as well, and I liked just the way that they did that really fast-paced, closely edited together. Kind of, it sort of achieved this idea that like everyone was together, everyone was one unit in that moment. So I actually really liked how they cut that together.
Pretty amazing that after Rondush, we didn't lose one more red shirt.
No, yeah, everyone made it. That was it. Like we lost 3 pretty big characters. We lost the whole biker gang, I guess, but in terms of Alexandria, we lost 3 pretty big characters and no one else. And the wolf. I guess we lost the wolf.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. the wolf.
R.I.P. the wolf.
All right. Brock Cheek says, what's the over-under on governor impressions on the podcast?
Yeah, we haven't done it.
Well, there's still time. There's a hashtag that you could read on there on Brock Cheek's tweet with governor voice.
Pay the bill, Carl.
There you go.
Yeah.
So 1. The answer is 1. We have one governor
we'll see
impression.
if Carl goes eye patch like the governor.
Right. Or just like full-time bandage, or is he just like going to show his gnarly eye to everybody? It's like, hey,
that'd be
check
cool.
this out. Look at that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They're going to blow the effects budget on that.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. How many more questions we got? A couple more. This is from maybe that's it.
It looks like that's it.
Okay.
We did it.
Well, this was fun tonight, Josh.
We're back.
Is, I know we've had a couple of technical issues with the Google Hangout. It seems like a couple other people are having some issues tonight, so hopefully it's just a one-night deal, but we should be back up and running full speed ahead for next week's live show.
Yeah, that is the hope. But before next week's live show, we will still have tons of Walking Dead coverage coming to you on post-show recaps, Rob.
Yeah, tell us what we're doing now, because we've added another show to the Walking Dead rotation.
Yeah, if you did not listen to the Walking Dead Season 6B preview podcast that we released last week, then shame on you, to quote another show. We are not only doing the feedback shows that we normally do. You can get your feedback into us the normal way, postshowrecaps.com/voicemail to leave a voicemail, postshowrecaps.com/feedback to leave us written commentary, and we'll also take your comments from YouTube and on the show page here on postshowrecaps.com. In addition to that show that Rob and I have always done, we have finally decided to move forward with a Walking Dead book club. This has been a long time in the making. People have asked for it. We're going to do it. There's some cool comic book stuff that ought to be happening this season, I think, worth chewing into in deeper dives. So I'm going to be hosting that show alongside new Walking Dead superfan. She just binged the whole show, and she's binging the comics as well. Jessica Leese. I'm very excited to podcast Walking Dead Book Club with Jess about all of these crazy shenanigans that are happening on Walking Dead. Can't wait to find out what her take on all of it is. And I think that if you're a fan of the comics and you really want to get that take, it's going to be a really fun show. one of the cool things about Walking Dead versus a show like Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones pretty closely mirrors the books. If you read the books, you have a very good idea of what's going to happen on Game of Thrones, the show. If you read the Walking Dead comics, you really don't know very much about what's going to happen on the show. You have like broad ideas, but very often they change things up completely. So it's a big guessing game, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, we've got a new Walking Dead podcast, 3 Walking Dead podcasts every week, Rob. It's going to be a big deal.
It's a huge week, a huge episode, a huge season coming up. Subscribe to Post Show Recaps. Go to postshowrecaps.com/iTunes, or for our Walking Dead only feed, you can go to postshowrecaps.com/TWD, iTunes, or search for Post Show Recaps in your favorite podcatcher. Josh, do you have a hashtag for us tonight?
I have a couple of options. Hashtag Ron Solo is the short one. That's the shortest hashtag. I liked hashtag Tell Me Morgan. I thought was funny. But then hashtag Brilliant or Reckless feels like that's pretty good too.
Okay, why don't we go to Ron Solo, because this is the shortest amount of characters.
We'll go hashtag Ron Solo. Tweet that our way. Rob's at Rob Cesternino. I'm at Round Howard. Show us Ron Solo. Yeah.
Very exciting. Josh, anything else on the post-show recaps you want to tell us about what you're doing?
Well, earlier today's February 14, 2016, as we are recording this show, which is Valentine's Day, but also according to Ghostbusters 2, it was supposed to be the end of the world. 40 minutes left on the clock, East Coast time. We're still here. Something may happen. Who knows? But just in case of emergency, my wife Emily and we recorded a podcast about Ghostbusters 2. It was very fun. Hope you like it. That's up on postshowrecaps.com. You've got some fun stuff coming up this week, Rob.
Yeah, always between all of the premiere week stuff for Survivor over on Rob Has a Podcast. Plus, we are going to continue all of our most shows recapped every week. Our scripted TV podcast. We did our SNL recap earlier today, talking about the Melissa McCarthy episode of SNL, the weekly Seinfeld podcast, and much more.
Yeah, the return of Better Call Saul.
Of course, Better Call Saul also tomorrow night. Oh my God, I'm not in Better Call Saul mode. It's not even part of my
Slippin' Robbie over there. Slippin' Robbie over here.
Yeah, that's huge. I was watching the premiere, the first season premiere, earlier today to get ready. But tomorrow night we're going to be live 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm sorry, 11:15 p.m. Eastern Time. That show's on an hour later than The Walking Dead.
Nice.
And Antonio Mazzaro and I will be live after that show as well tomorrow night. So a lot going on.
Good stuff. Very excited. Exciting times here.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We can't wait to see what you guys have to say in the comments on postshowrecaps.com, and we'll see you again live next week for The Walking Dead Live. Take care, everybody.